Andrew Yang is running for mayor of New York City, and unlike when he ran for president, Yang has suddenly found himself as the frontrunner in the race. And with frontrunner status comes a slew of attacks from many of the other candidates. One such attack came yesterday from Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, who is currently polling at a modest 17% in the race, 11 points behind Yang's 28%. What did Adams say? Let's roll the clip.
On Thursday, the candidates for mayor were sharing a virtual dance.
Okay. You got to turn it up a little bit.
By Friday, one of them turned his dance move into a body slam.
We do not need empty promises from hollow salesmen. When there is an election, salesmen come into our neighborhoods trying to buy votes with promises. They weren't there when the pipes froze at NYCHA Complex.
Speaking in front of the Association for a Better New York, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams took aim directly at former presidential candidate Andrew Yang. Adams never directly named Yang, but mentioned his signature policy.
But some have false promises, like forcefully selling a UBI. We all know that's a UB lie. A false plan with false promises that states you'll give $2,000 a year to 500,000 New Yorkers is just snake oil.
So it seems Adams mistakenly believes that Yang has been advertising his basic income plan, which would give 500,000 New Yorkers who are most in need between $2,000 and $5,000 a year as universal. Hence why Adams calls it a, quote, UB lie. However, when visiting the policy page on Yang's campaign website, the word universal isn't mentioned anywhere. And while I'm sure Yang would love for the plan to be universal, that's just not feasible at the city level. And again, Yang hasn't been advertising the plan as universal. Now, if Adams himself actually has a plan to provide a truly universal basic income to all New Yorkers, then he should bring it forward. That would be great. But otherwise, it just sounds like he's pandering and obviously seeking attention. Adams' accusation that Yang is just trying to, quote, buy votes with his basic income is reminiscent of the reaction by some who said Yang was also trying to buy votes when he announced during the September 2019 presidential debate that he was going to be giving away 10 basic incomes to 10 people for an entire year. But in the face of a global pandemic that has forced the country to embrace the idea of direct cash relief to get help to struggling Americans, it's hard to see giving people money as anything other than just solid policy at this point that pretty much every American supports. Yang, whose usual MO is to ignore these types of attacks, was asked directly by a reporter for his response to Adams.
At this point, 85% of Americans are for cash relief during the pandemic, and the majority of Americans are for some version of cash relief in perpetuity. I'm sure when Eric talks to his constituents, he would find that that's true of the people in Brooklyn and New York City as well.
Unfortunately for Adams, not even the hosts on New York One could quite seem to figure out exactly what his critique was.
When Eric Adams criticizes the UBI, the Universal Basic Income proposal of Andrew Yang, is he saying that he thinks it's a bad idea, or is he saying it's an idea that can't be brought about, that it's either too expensive or unable to be implemented for some other reason?
So I think he's basically saying that what the Yang campaign is doing is disingenuous, is because it is not technically universal basic income. And that's because the universal basic income that Yang talked about on the presidential campaign trail, he has scaled back or scaled down tremendously for the New York City mayor's race. The Adams campaign have put out their own income proposal, basically expanding a earned income tax credit that the city already has. They say their proposal would put thousands of dollars in the pockets of New Yorkers.
Adams' alternative plan, which calls for a boost to the earned income tax credit, tries to mimic Yang's own plan, but falls far short. By limiting eligibility to only those New Yorkers who file a tax return, many non-filers, such as students, the elderly, and those with disabilities that are unable to work, would not qualify. Furthermore, it's questionable how quickly a tax credit can even get into the hands of New Yorkers who need to pay for things like food and rent now. It has been proven time and time again that sending direct cash is always the way to go. This isn't the first time, though, that Adams has taken a shot at Yang and missed. Previously, Adams attacked Yang by saying that Yang doesn't come from blue-collar lineage.
Go into your lineage, and I bet you and everyone else in our lineage, somewhere there's a blue-collar person. The Andrew Yangs and so many other that come with this white collar mindset.
It's an odd and kind of gross attack, considering Yang's father grew up on a peanut farm in Asia with no floor.
My father grew up on a peanut farm in Asia with no floor, and now his son is running for president. That is the immigration story that we have to be able to share with the American people.
Adams, who's been running for a year, once compared the mayoral race to a shank fight in a prison yard. It's an interesting idea in an election with ranked choice voting, where in theory being nice to the other candidates would play to one's advantage. But Adams is clearly taking a different strategy.
Trust me, it's going to be a dirty campaign.
Asked what he thinks of all the punches being thrown his way, Yang says that he's focused on New York City.
I'm much more focused on solving the problems of New Yorkers, but I'll leave it to other candidates to lead their campaigns the way they see fit.
So what do you think? Will these attacks against Yang hurt his standing with voters, or will it backfire on Adams and other candidates? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.